To do our animation lip syncing in Harmony Essentials, first thing we have to do is get our artwork separated onto our layers. Currently we have a neck layer, and then we have all the layers for the head. Those are attached to a head peg, so we'll be able to animate that as we move forward with it. Now the layers are organized front to back. The one we care about right now on our first go is going to be the mouth layer. So the mouth layer is going to be set up so that we can construct separate drawings for each of the different mouth shapes that we need. We are going to need 8 or 9 different mouth shapes for standard speech. Harmony will be able to automatically detect and analyze the audio for 8 of the mouth shapes. The 9th one, which is the L sounds, where you are saying words that have an L kind of sound in them, it can't automatically do, so you have to do that part manually. Now as we work through this, these mouth shapes are for different phonetic sounds. This is why we can do different bad lip reading kinds of activities. The mouth that we see here right now is our mouth set up for basic non-talking. The next thing we're going to do is create a mouth which is a closed mouth shape for the consonant sound. So the M, B, P sound, this is where you stretch your mouth, pulling it tight at the corners. So to do this, I can create an empty drawing, and now with that empty drawing, we'll see in my library there is now a new drawing. Actually, there's a duplicate drawing, not an empty drawing. So if we end up with drawings that we don't want, we can click on the drawing, go in our drawing palette, and choose delete selected drawing. I'm going to get rid of that. Now with the mouth layer here, I have my neutral non-talking mouth. I want to create an empty drawing. So I'll click there. Now we can see we're on our new drawing for this 4-drawing substitution. So using my paintbrush, I am going to create that closed mouth M sound where the mouth is now pulled tight. And the next mouth shape that I'm going to create after that is going to be my open mouth. Now as I do this, you may notice I'm having a hard time figuring out where the mouths are because I'm just drawing them separately. So what we may want to do instead is to extend these drawing layers out so that we can turn on onion skinning and see what is happening behind. So using F5, I can extend it out. Now I can go set the first drawing back to the neutral mouth. My next drawing is going to be the M, and now we move to the next frame and we're ready to draw. But I can't see that yet. If I turn on onion skinning, I can now see my next mouth. Now this next mouth is going to be the consonants of C, D, K, R, where it's a closed jaw, where we may see the upper teeth. The upper lip pulls up a little bit, bottom lip is going to reveal, and as the corners of the mouth pull, I am going to just modify my brush so it goes a little heavier so I can have a more consistent line weight occurring as I draw this mouth shape. So now this is the closed mouth. Those will be teeth. I don't need to draw them individually, but I could. The next mouth we will do is for the E sound, and on this I'll create an empty drawing. For the E sound, it's going to expose the teeth a little bit more, and we get to see possibly the bottom teeth, possibly the tongue, but we can now draw the teeth as they occur in the mouth. Key thing to remember as we do this is that the teeth are attached to the rest of the skull, so the upper teeth are never going to move unless the whole head moves. It's the bottom jaw that is going to move when someone is talking. Now we can compare our different drawings and see as we work our way through. Now I move to a new frame, create an empty drawing. This one is going to be similar. The mouth is not going to be open as wide, but it's going to be open deeper, and this goes from the E sound to the A sound. And if you're curious about how the mouth shape should change. If you have a mirror, you can practice in front of the mirror, say the sounds, and watch what happens to your own face and see how it deforms as you move from expression to expression when you're saying your different phonetic sounds. The next one will be for the O sound. And as we do the O sound, the mouth is going to open wide with O sound. Now, as I'm doing this, you may notice how I'm starting to run out of room for the jaw. That the jaw for the O sound, because the mouth is opening, we may want to open it. Now the O, we may or may not see teeth as part of that, but I'm going to extend down the jaw because it is opening on that O sound, and we'll have to color that in as well. If I turn on Lightbox, we can better see the jaw shape as I am drawing it and see how that corresponds. Move to the next frame for our next drawing. This is going to be the oohs and U sounds. So this is where you start to make fish lips. So your lips are going to purse and get a little bit tighter. We may see the tongue, we may see the teeth. I'm going to leave teeth and tongue showing on this one. And this is going to require the jaw to deform down into the face as well. So we will have to color that in. And our next mouth, as we draw that, is going to be for the F and V sound. So I need to turn my onion skinning far enough back so I can see where the teeth are, because for this we end up having teeth sitting on the lips, and it's a little bit hard to see with the onion skinning there. So I'm going to go back to this previous frame and change this to that mouth there so that I can see where the teeth were, because one thing that's important when we are lip syncing characters is that the teeth, if they stay attached to the face and don't move, it's more consistent when the character is speaking. The final mouth that we may wish to employ as part of this is going to be an open mouth where we have teeth, and on this open mouth, the tongue, instead of being at the bottom, is now up into the back of the teeth. And you can watch in a lot of cartoons, especially in things like the Family Guy series, where they over-exaggerate that as part of their animation style. So now I can see that I have these different mouth shapes occurring, and the next step is to color them. So as I go through, I'm going to put this one back to the ooh mouth so I can color it and put these in place. Now to do this, I have a mouth color, I have a tongue color, so I can color things in. I'll have the skin color. So the neutral mouth, I don't have to change anything. Consonant, but now that the mouth is open, I can fill the teeth. So if I grab white, grab my paint bucket, I can fill it in as I am working. Moving on to the next mouth, I can color that. And what I find useful is to go through the mouth and do the same color across frames. And that saves me time having to select colors. So I can quickly and easily select the colors that I need. Now I grab my tongue color, fill that in, and what we see left at this point is we need to fill in our skin color, but to do that we have to figure out how to draw. So we don't really need onion skin on anymore. We can just go here where I have the chin. with the paint bucket tool, I can use the stroke tool, and using the stroke tool, I can easily just go across, and now it tells me I've added a stroke, but it won't be visible unless I choose show strokes. I don't care about seeing it, so I will turn that off. And now if I were to fill with the paint color, I can see how it filled in based on that stroke. Now I'll go back and do the same thing on this object as well, and I can fill with the paint, and that will color the chin in. So if we look at it, it looks pretty good, and it does appear that the jaw is we can see how the jaw is moving as we work our way through. So that's the first step, is creating our different mouth shapes. The next step that we have to do is we have to name these drawings. If we name them, then Harmony will be able to figure out what to do with them. And if we just type in the name up here, that creates a duplicate drawing. It doesn't actually change the name of the drawing as we're working with it, and that will cause problems down the road when we're trying to work with it. So the better way is in the timeline, if I click on the mouth and go to drawings, I will see there's an option to rename drawing. Command D is the keyboard shortcut. I'll use that for future drawings, and I will name this, and this is a case sensitive activity. The neutral non-speaking mouth gets labeled X, and these names correspond to the names or the letters that we saw on our animation mouth chart, the A through G. A through G, Harmony will be able to automatically do. It will use X mouth when the mouth is not talking. So now I'll name that A, go to the next drawing, Command D, and now this is B, and we just repeat the process. Forgot to advance to the next drawing before I tried to rename it. So X, A, B, we're on C, D, E, F, G, and finally the last one. This one I will name L, mouth. And I do that differently because it won't automatically detect this, so I can't rely on it to do that. So it's better to have a name that I can easily visually identify when I'm looking at it in my list. So now if I look through here, we'll see how the mouths are named correctly in our list. And it puts them in this list alphabetically, so we can leave it where it was. Now that I've named my mouths, I've drawn my mouths, the next thing that I want to do is to bring my audio into the project. I know, because I've analyzed the audio before, that I need my project to be approximately 190 frames long to see the animation in its entirety. Knowing that, I now need to extend the exposure for all of my layers, so I will highlight and hit F5 on the keyboard. That extends them out. Now that they've extended out, we can go back to the beginning to see what's going to happen next. In my layer palette, I can import or add a sound layer, but I can also just choose import here and choose sound. Inside the project file is an audio folder called My Voice. We'll choose that now and open it up, and we can see how it brought in an audio file. Now this audio file, we have to do two things. First, we right-click on it. So I'm right-clicking in the timeline on the waveform, right-click and choose Lip Sync, and we'll choose Auto Lip Sync Detection. When we do that, Harmony analyzes the audio, figuring out what is there, and then going to look at the mouth here again. So remember, the mouth layer currently has each of the drawings exposed right there. Now if I choose lip sync and map it, what I can do is map that sound, and I choose which layer I want to map to it. Now the layers as they appear here will be in the order they are in the timeline. So if I have 100 layers, I may have to scroll down a little bit to find it. So I click on mouth, and it's going to map the A mouth shape to A, and just keep on going down, A through G, and then X. next is the non-talking mouth. If I hit OK, I will see that in the beginning here, the mouth is on X, and as I scrub through my timeline, I will see that the mouth is changing for the different sounds. So it automatically has changed those. If I hit play and watch it, it'll be fun, but I won't be able to hear anything yet unless I enable sound. If I click on the sound icon in the timeline controls with the S, that allows me to scrub through my timeline to hear the sound. If I switch over and hit play, then when I hit the play button,
Listen to my voice.
we can see how the sound is now matched to the animation as it appears, and I didn't have to manually
Listen to my voice.
set that up. Now, something else we can do to add a little life to our characters, we can add in blinking. Adding in blinking is very similar to adding in the eye or the mouths. We just need additional drawings. So I have drawn eyes that are closed. So I can go to each eye and close it. And we'll see the character blinks. Hold it for maybe 3 frames, and now I'll go back and choose an open eye. Now as I do that, we'll see that the character blinks. And that adds a sense of life and realism to your animations. So, key things to remember. For the mouth, we're adding in drawings based on the mouth chart, and then those drawings have to be renamed. Do not rename them in the library, but rename them by clicking on the frames in the timeline when you are looking at that drawing. Right-click and choose Drawing, Rename Drawing. Good luck.